That's awesome. Because of the fact that...
Because it's a mechanism that I built for myself. For survival.
Yeah, right. Anxiety.
Yeah.
So good. Hey, by the way, why did you call your album Tearoom? Oh yeah, it was because you liked drinking tea at that time, right?
Look, it's one of those terms that inspired me. The only album I didn't have the title before I started working on it was Hi-Fi. I wanted just to kind of figure it out. Petrica, it went kind of at the same time, and Tearoom, I had the name before. I had the name, then I had the set list, then I had the songs.
Really? That's so cool.
Yeah. And I thought it sounded cool because when I was working on Petrica, and well, it sounds weird, but I was still a massive nerd. And that was like 3 years ago. So I thought, I've always had that ambition of not being one. Of sort of, I don't know what it is.
Wait, sorry, of not being one what?
A nerd.
Oh.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being a nerd, but I've been wondering why it's like to not be a nerd. Except when you're a nerd, you don't exactly know what being a nerd is and what not being a nerd is, which is what makes you a nerd in the first place. You think
It's the best description of
You think,
being a nerd
like-
I've ever heard.
you think things are cool in the sense of like fashionable that are not,
Right.
and that you love, and that's cool. I still love nerdy stuff. I fucking worship J.R.R. Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings. You know, I get tears each time I see the movie. And when I saw the last Spielberg, there's a, have you seen it? Ready Player One.
No.
Man, it's a movie about, it's set in the future, and people interact in like a virtual reality
Really?
giant server called the Oasis, and basically in that future life is 50% the Oasis and 50% real life, and so everybody has an avatar, and they so it's sort of an homage to geek pop culture and old video games and
Virtual
and all
reality.
that stuff. Yeah. Well, virtual reality is sort of the context, and everybody knows about virtual reality, but it's like references to fucking retro games and
Oh, really?
yeah, all over the place.
Wow.
And of course, Lord of the Rings, and the man who built the Oasis, which is a sort of prophet in the movie. His avatar is like a Gandalf character, and he sets up a competition when he dies. And there's a scene in the movie where it's the teaser for the contest, which has massive influence, and it's a magician showing 3 keys that he's gonna hide in the somewhere in the Oasis to be found, and the scene where the magician holds the keys, it's really like a video game figure. It's like the fucking cliche grey-haired magician with the robe and the stick and the magic key. And dude, I saw that movie 3 times, and each time I see the magician I tear up. So I'm definitely a massive nerd, but not really, because I know that's nerd stuff. When I was doing Petrica and moving on towards Tearoom, I wanted something that sounded less nerdy, and for some reason I thought Japanese stuff and anime was cool.
It is cool, man.
It is cool, but it's fucking nerdy.
It is.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
me too.
And so I've heard of Japanese tea rooms and
Okay.
well, two things. First, I liked it because it reminded me of cherry blossoms and Japan
Yeah.
and the sort of anime kawaii scene, which I thought if I had a little more of that in my music, it would be more fashionable. Which I'm not. Well, I am obsessed by that, but not. I think it's. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just something that I aspire to, that I'm curious about. So, yeah, that was my vision for the World Tea Room, and there was another parallel to that is I heard a talk by Alan Watts explaining the concept of Japanese tea rooms,
Like
which
tea
is
ceremony.
exactly the tea ceremony, which is you usually the traditional way is having every big Japanese house has the house and a garden, and at the back of the garden they have the simplest possible type of dwelling
Okay.
with the least amount of decoration and furniture, and the purpose of the tea room is to have tea in the simplest form possible. And when you have tea in a traditional Japanese tea room, you don't engage in complicated or personal conversations.
Really?
It's a simple room to drink tea and speak about simple stuff like the weather,
Wow. That's crazy.
which is cool.
Yeah.
So that was another inspiration for the name. But I think by the time I heard the anecdote,
Yeah.
I already had envisioned that name. But that was kind of a cool bonus.
Yeah. It makes sense with the artwork and everything.
Yeah, because there is like a sort of Japanese 80s vibe to it, with the 8-bit font and the well, there's also a lot of psychedelics.
So cool. Yeah, I love the.
And I imagine as you see the scenery in Tearoom, that behind the mountain there's the sort of elfish, mystic forest of Petrica, and on the other side of that there's a sort of dark, gloomy highland sort of Hive Mind scenery. Which, by the way, when I wrote Hive Mind, I had imagined it as a narrative album. So I had entire written words, paragraph to go in between the song, and I actually had the track, the ambient like noise and nature noises and walking and all set up and recorded, and I had to stick the musical tracks in their slots and fill in with the narrator's voice, which I wanted someone to do, but I didn't find, and I've, as always when I'm in the last bits of production, the last of the final part of the process, I'm out of energy, I'm out of motivation and stuff, so I didn't get it done. I tried recording the narrator with my voice on my computer speakers, thinking that if I just pumped up the bass, I'll get like a radio feeling, but it was just so ugly that I gave up. But on Bandcamp, there still is the narrative text that goes with the album, and so it's the story of you, the listener, but in my case me, who's living in sort of a like a 18th century sort of Victorian town village, and one day there's like a calling, a glimmering light on the hill, so you decide to follow that and get lost in the forest, and the night falls, and you encounter, you stumble upon a house which everybody knows nobody goes in the highlands because it's like there's alchemists and magicians and wild beasts and stuff, and people don't really believe in that type of stuff, but they still don't go. So I'm alone there, and so I stumbled upon a house which is filled with which is inhabited by a large number of like little beings, elves, like it's not specified, but they're mourning the death of their master, the alchemist, for unknown reasons. And so they set me up with a mission to find the Philosopher's Stone to save their master, which I accept, and have to. There's a destructive phase there, some called destruct.
Yeah.
And so I wake up the next morning in a room, and the ambience was really well done, by the way. You had the little birds chirping, and it sounded super cozy. You wake up in a room, sort of energized, and go on the quest. So first you have to step across to the Grand Quagmire, where you meet a character that I had invented called the Mud Keeper. And the Mud Keeper is like, just step out of my mud, scoundrel. Like it's my mud. that character, and I'm like, but I have to cross. And he says, you have to cross, and you gotta to pay me, or whatever. So he takes me on a little bark, and we cross the quagmire, and it's full of people in there. And I say, who the fuck are these guys, like living in mud up to the waist? And he says, yeah, these are people who we tried to cross the quagmire, but it's kind of warm and stuff, so they just stay and get lost and get crazy, mad. So I say, okay, and then we cross the thing. Whatever, the adventure is kind of long, it's only the third track. So we meet a sort of enlightened engineer lady who takes us on a flying machine towards another part of the land, where I get into a sort of a crevice in the earth and find a cave, and inside the cave there are like enlightened beings from another dimension who put me into a dream, and in the dream I wake up as well. In the dream, that's Dead Tree Seeds, by the way.
Okay.
Singing again, lost in the flame. No one is here to guide him back, and the sky is going.
So cool.
So I don't know what that means exactly, but it's kind of going inside and solving stuff. So that's Dead Tree Seeds, and then I wake up from that dream. No, wait. In the dream, I see my town, and the town is has been swallowed by a tsunami of mud, and there's my family and friends who are kind of swimming in there. And so I see the figure of the Mud Keeper saying, "Why the hell would they move?" And I wake up from that dream having that. No, I find I when the Mud Keeper tells me why the hell, like why would anybody move, I find that I do have the Philosopher's Stone. And so I wake up from the dream, sort of on a stone bed with the enlightened beings around me, and I have the Philosopher's Stone with me in real life. So they say, go off, son, and go bring that back. So I run up to the surface, and the engineer, Magna, she was called, is waiting for me with a flying machine, and brings me back to the alchemist. I then give the stone, and he gives me a vision, and the vision is like, gotta do something about the world. And so, having gone through that experience and having died in a sense, the character, me or the listener, wonders, well, what he's going to do with his life, because he can't just run back to town, because everything's changed, but in a way he can't express. So he just goes wandering, and that's the end of the record.
Wow, dude, that is so cool. That's so cool. You have to, if you remaster that, you have to include the text. Like that's
Dude.
insane.
Dude, that's crazy, because that's exactly the idea I had when I finished Petrika.
Really?
I said, wow, I'm a pretty good mixer now. I could remix Hive Mind and put the dialogue in.
Yeah.
You know what happened then? I did a shitty mix and I became horribly depressed, and that was, by the way, I remixed Hive Mind at Studio Lakanal in Paris
Oh, really?
when I was doing the complicated internship. And so the mix sounded like shit, and I couldn't get the dialogues.
Oh.
I still had the tracks and the text and all, but it just didn't happen. And so I just kind of gave up on
Oh,
it.
man.
But
It'll happen one day. It'll have to.
maybe.
Man. Yeah, maybe one day. So cool. Can't freaking believe it's that complete, you know?
And you know what's funny is that when I was writing the story as a teenager, I had no idea what I wanted to tell at all. I just kind of improvised the thing, like line by line, just selecting what sounded cool to me. I didn't want that to be personal at all. I was very uncomfortable with that. I just wanted it to have a vibe, you know?
Right.
With stuff I liked and stuff I didn't, and I just wanted to make something that I liked. And looking back on the story 2 years later, I read it again. It was like, oh, it's about growing up. And that's the exact time when
Why would they
I
move?
left the band with Timothée, got dumped by my girlfriend Julie, and moved out of Clermont-Lérault to go study in Montpellier.
Right.
And I was 18 at that moment. So
Right.
that's exactly the theme.
Yeah.
It's just growing up and leaving town.
Yeah.
But I kind of told it without trying.
Man. That's so cool. So to come full circle, the mountains in the background of Tearoom
Yeah.
are the highlands that kind of start that's where Hive Mind starts. Is that
I don't imagine, no, I imagine those mountains to be way fucking higher. It's a
Okay.
different territory that I
Okay.
sort of climbed after Petrika,
right? Okay.
between Petrika and now. But behind the mountains would be the forest of Petrika, and far away is like a forgotten land where Hive Mind happened.
Right.
And if you see the backdrop of Tearoom, I don't know if you've seen the artwork. It's
Yeah.
me with the ocean, and there's
And the city.
the city, and that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And in
man.
between the two, there's the ocean, because I have no idea how I'm going to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah. That's what I thought when I saw the back cover. It's like, whoa, seeing something urban is new in Keor. And the fact that it's distant and that's where you're looking. What I find so cool is it's like the front is that's where you are. You're like streaming, and when you look at the back, it's almost as if that's what you were looking at.
That is what I'm looking at.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
By the way, I'm standing on the same dock.
Bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dock. Okay. Okay, man.
The therapy is working. It's great talking to you, by the way.
Yeah, it's me too. I hope you don't mind. I recorded all of that.
What are you talking about? For real?
Yeah, I did.
What? Stop it.
I just thought like I always wanted to ask you why you chose Tearoom, and I wanted to kind of like an interview, you know?
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Can I publish it?
Yeah, man.
What? Got the recording now. I don't want to lose that.